Hey y'all, welcome back to this week's episode of AMA Friday with Amy Miller, recruiting in yoga pants. So we're gonna dig into, I don't think it's controversial, but there's this new, let me get the whiteboard ready here. There's this new question running around social media, and it's advice on how to, or a specific question rather, that folks are encouraging job seekers to ask during the interview process. And so the question is usually like a variation of, do you have any concerns about my ability to do the job? Do you have any reservations about moving forward to the next step? Do you have anything preventing you from making me an offer? Things like that. I will admit, I used to tell people to ask questions like this when I was a young baby recruiter, and also total idiot, by the way. I would say things like this, and I'm going to now encourage you not to ask that question. My thinking has certainly evolved on this topic. I'm sorry, all of my candidates from the years 1998 to probably 2004, I owe you a huge apology. I did not know what the hell I was doing. My bad. All right, now that I've gotten that off my chest, sorry y'all. Here's the why, okay? This question puts people in kind of an uncomfortable position of being forced to kind of make an immediate decision. And that's not how recruiting works. That's not how hiring generally works. I do understand that there's always going to be variables and outliers, or companies that do something very differently, or, places where you can walk in and, check a pulse. Oh, yeah, you're hired. I get it. We're not talking about those kinds of jobs, okay? So I'm going to actually pivot this a little bit. And instead of just complaining about this question, I'm going to actually walk through the interview process, what each pivot point basically is looking for, and the better question you can ask at these stages. All right, so let's give it a try, shall we? I got a new whiteboard and I got new markers. They're so colorful. Oh, we have purple too. I forgot about purple. Okay. Let's use purple. Purple is my mom's favorite color, by the way. I don't like it, but my mom loves it. So here's for you, mama. Okay. So there are typically, a handful of steps, right, in the interview process. We can debate another time if it's too many or too lengthy. I know that comes up a lot. But let's just, look, right now, this is what the interview process looks like, particularly in big tech, FANG, a lot of professional services kind of companies. So we're just going to walk through that, right? So I'm actually going to use, as an example, I'm going to use what my last several teams have done. Your mileage may vary, but this has been common across multiple employers. And so it starts with the recruiter. So a lot of times that very first contact is with a recruiter. You're doing a recruiter phone screen. You're doing, just again, the recruiters are kind of checking off some boxes that the hiring manager has given them, some set of expectations, set of things that we need to verify that you have. Those can be everything from very specific technical knowledge to something as simple as your work authorization to be employed in the US, right? Sometimes that's a box we have to check, or at least confirm if we're dealing with, any kind of immigration updates, things like that. So the recruiter phone screen covers a lot of ground, but the big goal of the recruiter phone screen is to get and verify information, okay? So what do I mean by that? I'm talking about, hey, this was on your resume, talk me through it. Right? Hey, so you've built teams before. I'm hiring a manager. You've built and scaled teams before. Walk me through that. Hey, you said you had expertise in this particular thing. Walk me through a project where you used it. So I'm getting and verifying information here. And I'm also then going to present that data to the decision maker, usually a hiring manager, but basically I'm not really making a judgment call here. There are cases where I might make that call. And in particular, if I know for sure the manager is not interested in someone who doesn't have X, and if I probe on that and like, hey, walk me through how you've used X, and you're like, oh, I haven't actually done that, but I've done Y. Okay, sorry, hiring manager's not going to be interested. Let's look for roles that are open to Y or whatever. So it is more, we probably will know that from the resume or kind of make those judgment calls based on what we know about you on paper, but it's not unusual to go ahead and get on a call, especially if we're representing multiple companies, multiple opportunities. We may just want to kind of decide where you might fit best. So I definitely have had those conversations, but again, understand the purpose of this call. Vet and verify information, and then send that information to the decision maker. If you were to ask me at this stage, do you have any reservations about my ability to do the job? I have no idea, dude. No clue. I know enough to know that I want the hiring manager to talk to you. That's where I'm at. I have no reservations about sending your information to the hiring manager. How's that? So the question you're going to ask instead is going to be a net add. We want to add. All right. Here's the thing. This is sales tactic. This whole thing is born from the idea that if I can get you to say your objection out loud, I can overcome it. What's going to stop you from driving home in this beautiful new car today? Well, I don't have enough money for a down payment. Oh, well, what if we can work with you on financing and we can roll that into sales tactic? Fine. Leave it at the car dealership. Don't bring it to your interview. Okay? You want to add to this conversation. So the answer, or the question rather, the answer to the question you should be asking is going to be, hey, recruiter, is there anything else you want to know before you send my information on to the decision maker? Did I answer all your questions to your satisfaction? Did I give you enough detail about my expertise in X? Perfectly reasonable question. I can say, yes, thank you. You gave me enough information. I can work with this. I'll give you an update later. Or actually, you know what? Let's dig a little bit more into X. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything important on that. So that's fine. That's, again, a net add. That's what we're looking for here. So now from here, we are now presenting this to the hiring manager, right? So the hiring manager is the next step. They may have like a delegate set up that's going to have that initial conversation. A lot of times this looks like an assessment or a coding exercise or a phone screen. So in my group, and this has been my last several companies, as I mentioned, we go to a phone screen next. So the phone screen is with either the hiring manager themselves, often somebody on their team or a related team who can kind of vet for the technical part. So this is generally our technical scope, right? We want to understand that, yeah, this person can actually do the technical stuff of the job. If you come into this conversation with, do you have any reservations about my ability to do the job? Probably because we've only really dug into one facet of it, or we've just started kind of scratching the surface of. There's more information we want to unpack here. We're just checking boxes as we move through the process. And the question that we're looking to answer here is, do we know enough? Do we see enough positive data points to move to the final step of the process and gather all the data points that we want to move to an offer? So the question to ask here is similar to the question up here. Is there anything else I've not shared with you that would be helpful for you to know at this stage? Did I give enough information about this technology, that project, these programs, those accomplishments to give you what you need for the purposes of this call? That's it. Don't try to pin them down to a next step. Just make sure that they have the information that they need to go back and make whatever judgment call they're going to make. A lot of times the delegate is simply gathering information. They're taking it back to the hiring manager. Hiring manager is going to make that decision. So you're asking the wrong person anyway. Okay, so now we're at the final stage. All right, now we're interviewing. You are probably going to meet with, 3 to 5 people. It depends how the company is set up. Not unusual for us to have 4 to 5 people on your interview loop. And for the organizations I've been with, this has been a series of one-on-ones. So it's not a panel, it's not a group, it's not a whatever. I don't love those, but some people do. So you might get that. But the idea here is you're probably talking to multiple people. You're having different interviews, all right? They're gathering multiple data points, okay? So one person may be going deep into a very specific technical competency. Someone else might be probing on soft skills. The third person might be digging into like inter-team, cross-team collaboration and communication. So everybody is probably going to kind of have maybe a particular thing that they're learning, a particular data point that they're gathering. And if you ask any one of these people the question, right, because again, maybe we're talking 3 to 5 interviewers, not a single one of them is making the decision in a vacuum. No one person here is the final say on whether or not you get an offer. So to ask the question, do you have any reservations about me being able to do this job? I don't know. I only have like 20% of the data right now. I only know what I think. I got to go talk to the other people and see what they think. So that's the reason why this is very much kind of puts people on the spot and can be very uncomfortable, because at this point, number one, we don't have enough data to answer the question fairly. And number two, it is not okay for us to commit to something until we've had an opportunity to look at all the information and have whatever conversations need to be had in order to make that final decision. Okay, so that is my 2 cents on that, y'all. I think, again, there are ways to kind of help with that idea of pre-closing or making sure that you're covering any potential objections, but we want to come at it from a place of adding, not just removing an objection. We want to add data and context that helps people make the right decision, which is to make you an offer. All right, y'all, I hope that helps. Let me know down below, drop a comment, I'll read them all, and we will see you next week.